ensure that youngsters from all backgrounds and all communities would have an opportunity to be introduced to the great sport of tennis. Today, the program has over 600 chapters across the country, and it reaches somewhere around 300 youngsters annually. And it wasn't the purpose to create tennis champions. I mean, if tennis champions came by way of the program, that really was a bonus, but really it was to ensure that youngsters had an opportunity to be their best selves, if you will. So it laced the program with lots of educational components and life skills components. And I must say that, at least I believe that the program has worked. I'm a graduate of the program, so my very best friends are graduates of the program, which is pretty remarkable. We just had a gathering at my house last weekend, and to have known these folks for like close to 40 years and to be introduced to them through the NJTL of Philadelphia, to me speaks volumes for the program. And as for youngsters that actually did go on to become tennis champions, there's a fellow by the name of Rodney Harmon, who you may not know who Rodney Harmon is, a young African-American gentleman. He is now the coach at Georgia Tech. He coaches the women's team, but he made it to the Great Eight of the U.S. Open. He was a quarterfinalist. He was the director of men's tennis for the United States Tennis Association. So it did actually create some champions, and that's just one. But for the most part, it really was developed to give not just me, but youngsters. I guess I'm not a youngster anymore, but folks like me an opportunity to be their best self. So that's a little bit about the NJTL program. Yes, there's one in New York. It happens to be the biggest and the best. There's one in Philly and Washington, D.C. I mean, it's really all over the country, and it's been around for a long, long time. It does really good things, not just for the folks that are touched by tennis through it, but the communities in which these programs are.
Great, thanks, D.A. So what we're doing, each one of the panelists is to say a little something, and I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to throw out the Q&A to the audience. So next up, we have Shawn Slevin. Shawn is the, like I said, the executive director of Swim Strong Foundation. And Shawn, I know that when I did a special section on working with USA Swimming and Make a Splash, I did not realize until I did that special section a couple years ago that the drowning rates in African American and Hispanic Americans is 4 times what it is in white America. And I know that your Swim Strong Foundation is addressing an issue, but when we were speaking leading up to the conference, you're telling me all the great things that have come out besides learning how to swim. And I wonder if you could just tell the audience about some of the great things that are happening, that the confidence when someone learns how to swim, what it actually means as their lives move forward in a professional manner.
Thank you. And I do want to share just a little bit of the stats around the drowning, because it's scary, quite frankly. I mean, even for us here in the United States, and we are a developed country, every day on average 10 people die due to drowning. It is the second leading cause of death for children 14 and younger, and children of color are drowning 3 times more than their Caucasian peers. It's actually the leading cause of death for children 5 and younger, with most of those tragedies happening in their very own homes. And shockingly, it is the second largest cause of death globally. It only takes 2 inches of water for you to drown. It takes less than 2 minutes in that 2 inches of water for you to drown. So it is a huge issue. Swim Strong addresses that issue by providing low to no cost swimming lessons in communities where they are most needed. Since our start in 2009, we've helped almost 4,500 people learn how to swim, and 1/3 of those were children who received free swimming lessons from us. So we've given in services almost $350,000 to the families of New York City, and we are an all-volunteer organization at this time. So there are 80 of us in the water now, in 5 different locations across the city. One day, we will be a global organization. but we start one step at a time. And similarly, I think to the tennis association, swimming has been a sport that has not really been accessible to a lot of people because it's expensive. And if you think about it, you can understand it. It costs a lot of money to build a facility. It costs a lot of money to maintain a facility. It costs a lot of money to staff a facility. And so naturally, those expenses have to be passed through to people. And because we have been an all-volunteer organization, we can, deal with that in a little different way. We don't have to pay a staff, so we can bring our fees down to about half the price of other programs. And also, the component in terms of what is coming out of the work that we're doing is now we have 5 years of young men and women who are well-trained, who are now themselves starting to teach others. And so there is a mentoring and there is a leadership component that is growing here. We have had a number, and I'll get to the numbers later, I can talk to you about that later, but a good number of our young men and women are now certified lifeguards, water safety instructors. We have our own certification program that will be rolling out next year. And so while at this point we are all volunteer, next year 30% of our volunteers will become paid staff. And that is really powerful because a number of the young men and women that I'm speaking of right now are earning an income elsewhere. We want to capture that talent back to ourselves. They're earning an income elsewhere through the parks and rec on the beaches in the summertime as lifeguards or the YMCAs. But they're the only ones in some cases bringing an income into their families. So we want to create more opportunity for those young men and women to continue to bring that income home, not only as lifeguards and water safety instructors, but those that are now joining the military, becoming first responders. We have one that's a commercial diver. So we're seeing this wonderful transformative opportunity for our youngsters, and we want more and more and more of that.
That's great. I'm glad to hear it's, well, I'm glad to hear about it. I know it was 4 times that they did that special section a couple years ago, and that's 3 times. Hopefully, in our lifetime, we'll see it be the same as the White Merc, and hopefully no drownings. I know that's probably never going to happen, but just teaching our young people to learn how to swim and then all the confidence they get from it, which is great. So next up, I'd like to turn over to Wendy Lewis. Wendy, I know Major League Baseball and all the sports and covering sports all these years here. When I was here at the Times, Major League Baseball was by far ahead of the curve when it came to diversity, not just with your RBI program and getting more and more young minorities to play baseball and softball throughout major cities in the country, but what you do with your Supplier Diversity Summit and your and all the great work you're doing. So could you, Wendy, tell the audience what you're doing to Supplier, because that summit is just unbelievable, and I know NFL, NBA, NASCAR, nobody has done with Major League Baseball, and hopefully they'll follow your lead. So Wendy.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you all for being here this morning. I also like to say to Shawn, she and I were talking earlier today. She reminded me how many years ago we both spoke about her program, the foundation, and I just have to say congratulations to you. You are such a tremendous inspiration. Because as she said, it's still not for profit, it's a volunteer organization, but what you are doing is saving lives, creating economic impact. You and I talked before, but I didn't think about the relativity of those deaths being in the home. And I think about my own grandchildren and my grandson, who just takes some lessons now, but just the fear of water. So as much as we all appreciate each other being here, there are jewels of wisdom that are always bestowed, whether you're up here or out there. So take to heart what she said, because that is so close to touching us all. And I'm so inspired by what you've done. I've been extraordinarily blessed. I've been in baseball for a long, long time, 26 years actually. And some of you have known me for some, if not most of that time. And it has been a tremendous opportunity to be transformative and to really contribute to an organization and actually see measurable difference because of that. What Mark is speaking of is called the Major League Baseball First Business Summit, and it's our baby, a project that was under development for many years before it actually got implemented. So the other thing I want to tell you is, not only just having those dreams, but even those great ingenious ideals and those strategic plans, making it green, rather than all the other things, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the activation, the sponsorship, the initiation that you need, but don't give up. So if I could, I'd actually like to show you a small video of the summit, and then I can talk to you about it.
Video become
I'm honored to be with all of you today for Major League Baseball's third Diversity Baseball Summit. The MLB Diversity Business Summit revolves around the concept of opportunities for all people, regardless of race, religion, sexual orientation, or gender.
What Major League Baseball provides for those attending job seekers and entrepreneurs is unprecedented access. They get to meet with 30 Major League Baseball clubs, the heads of human resources, and the heads of procurement. Also our minor league clubs.
There's no other event like this that I know of. I started with the Dodgers 4 years ago. I would have loved to come to one of these events.
The program runs from January to November each year, and basically what you're doing is you're learning everything.
Hear from distinct individuals in leadership like the commissioner, other owners. And one of what we think are one of the best features of the summit is the business briefings, which is almost a classroom format of how to do business with us, how to get a job with baseball.
This business briefing is called Doing Business with Baseball, and the sole topic today is RFPs, requests for proposals.
All that variety of activity and networking under one roof, there's nothing like it.
All I did was I worked my tail off, whatever I was given, whether it was playing baseball, whether it was working for the Yankees as an intern, but you never know who's watching you do what you do while you're doing. And that's kind of how my story really got taken in the right direction.
The New York Yankees are one of the most exciting sports franchises in the world, period. And to do this event with them really was an extra treat for us all.
But we're glad to see everybody here, all the smiles on your faces, so that means job well done, Wendy. Thank you.
Today, of course, is Jackie Robinson Day, and it's a milestone across all of Major League Baseball.
For this April 15th to have something so beautifully recognized, Big Blue, at the Empire State Building.
The Empire State Building is a landmark in New York, but it's also a landmark in my family. So we're thrilled that they've joined in celebrating Jackie Robinson Day. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
So to be standing here on the 67th anniversary of Jackie Robinson's book and color bearer is pretty amazing. With all the different things that are open to you and the understanding and the doors that are opening with opportunity to make sure you take advantage of it. That's why you have the summit.
I thoroughly enjoyed the event. Other than just learning different aspects of Major League Baseball, the business side of it, it was also great to network with different people from different areas.
I think it's great because I met people come from all over the country. I think it shows how important this diversity summit is to everybody.